Hello again, Steve reporting once more. And this is the beginning of the mini part series of how I've loved my parents. My parents have always loved me. They've been great parents my entire life, but I put them through some hardships. And that's what this docu-series is about. So, it's hard to know where to begin because of the amount of bullshit that they've been through because of me. But it has all been character building experiences through which I've learned to become a better person. And while I've made a million mistakes, I'm not one to make the same one twice, which at least I can say that. So the first is the worst, of course, and that is when I got alcohol poisoning when I was 12 years old. My parents were at a wake. They had left for a wake. One of their friends' parents had passed, and they were at that wake whenever they got the call about me having alcohol poisoning. I got alcohol poisoning because my brother had stolen a half gallon of Captain Morgan rum, and I met him and two of his friends in the woods, and I had drank 2 times before this. In DARE class, they always said, don't drink, don't drink, don't drink, abstinence only, don't drink. They never said if you drink too much, you'll die. So I had drank twice before, and I know at 12 years old, that's why I was not a great. That's why I put my parents through the ringer. We'll put it that way. So I drank twice before, and had a blast each time. Even though the first time I threw up. That's another story for another day. But I drank a lot of Bacardi and was drunk as fuck. It was the 98 to 99 New Year's, so I was only 10. And whenever I woke up, I was sick as fuck, but I threw up 17 times, I counted. And then I walked out of the bathroom, and my dad was like, so how do you feel this morning? And after I had thrown up that 17th time, I felt fine. I was like, I feel good. And he didn't know what to say. He was flummoxed. But, so I had drank twice before. They never told us in DARE class that if we drink too much, we'll die. And so, this third time, I was more or less going into it with the attitude like, well, if I drink more, I'm just going to have more fun. So, screw it. Let's do it. And I took 3 10 counts of Captain Morgan in 20 minutes. I was incoherent and didn't have a memory of anything that happened after, let's say, and the 10 count is just chugging for 3 times in a row within 20 minutes. As a 12-year-old, that's not healthy. No doctor recommends it. 0 out of 10. I would think. I don't know. Because there might be some really weird child molestery doctors out there who are trying to get kids shit-faced, but that's neither here nor there. Not this topic of discussion. But if you know them, kill them. Either way. So, within 50 minutes, I was standing on the top row of the bleachers at the baseball field at the park, which had the woods that we were drinking in, and I just fell backwards off them and laughed, and that collapsed the lung. And still laughing, my brother and his friends tried to get me home to my bed so that I could sleep it off, which, and at that point, is not a thing at all. At all. And so we made it, through there's probably a 50-foot parcel of woods. Who says that? I don't know. I'm sorry about that. 50-foot piece of woods to get from the park to the street that led to the backyard that got us to our parents' house. And halfway, 25 feet into that parcel of woods, I started throwing up violently, which, thank God. And there was a woman, Mrs. Gerber, who was a friend of ours' mom. That friend went to Penn State, and he was away at school, so he was not included in this endeavor. Mrs. Gerber was walking her dogs, saw my brother and his friends, thought they were beating me up, and was like, oh my god, what are you doing to that kid? They were like, he's just sick, we're trying to get him home. She was like, oh my god, no, you're beating him up. And ran home and called the police. The police came. They found me. That was loaded into an ambulance and then life flighted to Children's Hospital from the local hospital, where I died on the way. They had to zap me back to life. Was comatose for 18 hours. My lung collapsed, my bladder stopped working, one of my kidneys shut down. Like, it was a whole ordeal. They had to zap me back to life on the life flight ride. So they take me to Children's Hospital. I wake up 18 hours later with tubes down my throat, and I flail all around, and an IV rips out and shoots blood all over the room, so everything's just covered in blood. They have to clean up so much blood. And I fall asleep after that for 4 more hours. I wake back up. I lift the fucking... They took the tubes out by now because I was breathing on my own. My parents are at my bedside. They have Polaroids of the tubes that were down my throat, keeping me alive. And my dad said, I'm going to keep these forever just so you always remember what happened. And I always do and always have. So oh my God. My poor parents. I lift up the blanket, look down, see that I'm naked, and I'm like, oh my God, where are my clothes? And they're like, Steve, you're in the hospital. You had to get life flighted here. You drank too much. You almost died. This and that. Like, we're just so happy you're alive to see you alive. We didn't know if you'd make it. We're just happy to see you alive. And me, my drink, I'm still drunk after 18 hours. Like, my drink ass is like, that young and a fucking 310 counts in 20 minutes. I look down, see that I don't have my clothes. I'm like, well, where are my clothes? And they're like, they have them. They took everything. You're in the hospital. You're safe now. And I was like, did they get my cigarettes? 12 years old, and I asked my parents, did they get my cigarettes? And my parents, it was an audible facepalm moment, like, yes, they have your cigarettes. Steve, you're in the hospital. You might be here for a while. This and that. And so it was like, damn. Because I did really, like, after that whole ordeal, really just needed a fucking cigarette. But I wake up, didn't have any cigarettes, and I lifted the blanket a little bit more, and there was a blue tube coming out of the tip of my pee-pee. And so I started yanking on it, like forcibly trying to remove it, and a nurse dove from across the room on top of me, like, no, if you pull that, there's a whole lot more that's going to come with it. Which makes it really hard to watch the second movie of the last movie of Dumb and Dumber with Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels, yeah. And because of that beginning scene at the psych ward where, and I don't want to talk about it, but I started pulling, and she was like, no, if you take that out. And so apparently there's a little ball at the end of it in your bladder that, like, you have to deflate before they pull all that out. And so that's why she was like, if you pull that, a lot more is going to come with it than you want to. And it burned a pee for 3 days, which is where I was at. I was in the hospital for 3 days after that. Crazy situation. My poor parents, I would go and get balloons and flowers and shit, like, for this situation. And then the child psychologist, like, keep in mind about what I said about the DARE classes. They taught abstinence. They never told us that if you drink too much, you'll die. And like I said before, I had drank twice before and was like, oh, no wonder the adults are telling us not to do it, because it's so much fun. Like, I don't want to have to. I don't want to wait till I turn 21 to imbibe these delicious beverages. Ooh. Something like that. But the child psychologist, 12 years old, were trying to tell my parents that I was trying to kill myself by drinking so much, which is not true. But they put my parents through the ringer, and that was like, I've never been suicidal. I never will be. I would never do that to and this is the reason why. Because suicide is like a suicide bomber. It affects most those that are closest, that you surround yourself by. Those that are closest to you is who it affects most, and it's just a mushroom cloud out from there. And in some small, slight way, and even the most outer are affected. And so, like, that's just never, and so, like, that drove me crazy that these child psychologists tried to convince myself or my parents that I was trying to kill myself. It's like, no, I was really just trying to have a good time. I really love having a good time, and I was trying to accentuate the good time that I had before by imbibing a little bit more. And, like, so, ain't that some shit? But, like, it, believe me. But so, God, I woke up from an 18-hour coma with my parents praying for my life to continue on at my bedside, and I wake up and ask for a Newport. Oh, I put them through the ringer. So, well, that's the first story in a series of many. I guess we'll begin the next one now. Alright, check for part 2.